let's start by standing up. Please stand up. Good. And there on your space, take a moment to feel how you are. Try to look somewhere that it's not directly over your screen. So find a place to look. Maybe it's a painting or a plant or something, some object there on your home. And feel how you're standing. Feel if there is any sensation on your body right now that it's calling more your attention. And then gradually start to bring your attention more towards the region of your shoulders. So your right shoulder, your left shoulder, and then the backs of your shoulders, your shoulder blades, right shoulder blade, left shoulder blade. Sometimes it's hard to feel any sensation there because it's on our back, but maybe you can have some sort of sensation there. And then very slowly, just turn a little bit towards one side as if you're gonna look around yourself, but don't go a big movement, just the beginning of the movement, and then come back to the middle, and then a little bit towards the other side. And one more time, one side, just feeling how does it feel to do this slow, small turning right now? Turning over towards one side, turning over towards the other side. And then coming back to your middle. And then choose which arm you want to do this movement first and raise your arm. And it doesn't need to go all the way high, just a little bit, kind of like in a diagonal. So not so much in front of you or to the side, but kind of like on a diagonal, yes. So you lift a little bit and lower, just feeling the sensation around your shoulder blade, your back. And how is it to do this movement? And then change the arm. So now the other arm, lifting a little bit in this kind of a diagonal direction. Maybe do it twice or 3 times, just noticing any sensations that might call your attention. Or maybe this feels very easy and nice for you right now. Just observe. Great. And then walk a little bit on your space. Walk a little bit. It's kind of like a rest too after standing. And then slowly come to lie down on your rug or mat. And first lie down on your back. Yeah, make sure you have your towels nearby if you feel you need for your support for your head or to cover yourself. And as you're lying here, feel your contact with the floor, how your body is making contact with the floor right now. And then bring your attention to your right shoulder. Notice how is your right shoulder lying on the floor. And your shoulder blade, does your shoulder blade feel pretty flat on the floor or does it feel a little bit pointy? Or maybe a little bit lifted from the floor? Just notice that with a kind approach to yourself, no judging, just noticing. And then the other side, your left shoulder blade, how does your left shoulder blade is lying down on the floor compared to your right? And now notice the position of your head. If you feel you're lying down, your head is lying down pretty much in the middle, or if your head turns a little bit towards more towards one side than the other. And then see if you can get a sense of the distance between your shoulders to your ears. So maybe first thinking about your right ear, the very bottom of your right ear and the top of your right shoulder. What is the distance between your ear and your shoulder? And then the left ear. Left ear, left shoulder. Is that pretty much the same distance, or do you feel that if you had a little string connecting the very bottom of your ears to the tops of your shoulders, would those strings have different length? And then notice how the distance between the back of your neck to the floor, what is that distance? And then the contact of your upper back with the floor, your lower back. Notice what is the distance of your lower back to the floor. And how is your pelvis lying down on the floor? Compare the right side of your pelvis to the left side of your pelvis and see, are they lying down pretty much similar to one another, or do they feel very different from one another? And then get a sense of the length of your legs. Do you notice if one leg feels longer than the other? Or maybe one leg is a little bit more turned out than the other? Just have this mental picture. It's like a scanner will gives you this opportunity to see how you are right now, how the contact of yourself is with the floor, and then at the very end of the class we'll come back to this, and between some rests too, and you'll be able to notice changes and sense differences as we go on with the movements. And lastly, get a sense of the distance of your arms to your body. So your right arm to the side of your body, side of your torso. What is that distance? And then your left arm. What is the distance between your left arm to your torso? All right, and slowly start to roll over to lie down on your left side. And you can choose to have some support for your head and have your arm lying down in front of you, or you can have your left arm under your head and support your head with your left arm. See what is more comfortable for you right now. And your right hand will come somewhere in front of you on the floor, standing on the floor. And you can play with that position. If your wrists are sensitive, you can also just rest the knuckles of your hand on the floor. And from this position of having your hand standing on the floor or your knuckles, feel where your shoulder is, your right shoulder. Just notice where is it? And from this place, which I'm gonna call the middle, you're gonna take your right shoulder slowly forward, just a little bit forward, and then back to the middle, to where you started. And as you take your shoulders slightly forward, Do it in a very nice, easy, and gentle way. And then you come back to where you started. Hmm? How is your breathing as you do this movement of taking your shoulders slightly forward and then back to where you started? Mhm. Making it nice and easy for yourself in your comfortable range. Mhm. And now pause in the middle. And now from the middle, take your right shoulder a little bit backwards, just a little bit. And the movement can be as small as millimeters, a few millimeters, so small that if someone is looking from the outside, they won't even notice that you're moving. And as you start to bring your shoulder backward and back to the middle, you can try on increasing the range of movement, but still staying in a range that it's very comfortable for you. So you go back and then bring the shoulder back to the middle position. And then rest for a moment in the middle. And I'll take your shoulder forward and then back to the middle. And now backwards and back to the middle where you started. And go on doing this movement in a very gentle, easy way, seeing how you're breathing as you're doing this small, gentle movement of taking your shoulder forward, back to the middle, and then backwards and back to the middle. Feeling how your shoulder blade glides over your ribs, going slightly up and forward and then back. So the inner part of your shoulder blade goes closer towards your spine. And then a little bit away from your spine as you rest your shoulder in the middle. Great. Good. And now please rest on your back. And here on your back, notice if you feel any differences between the left shoulder and your right shoulder. Your right shoulder blade and your left shoulder blade. And then slowly come and lie down on your side again. And every time you come back to this position of lying down on your side, check again your supports. If you have what you need. Some people also enjoy having something between their knees if they start to feel their knees are bony and aching. You can put a pillow, you can put a blanket or a towel between your knees. Be very truthful with yourself about your comfort. And then again, stand your hand on the floor. And know that if that gets tired, you can also have your arm by the side of your body and continue with the movement that way. But now this time, from the resting position, from the middle, take your right shoulder a little bit upward towards your ear, just a little bit, and then back towards the middle. Raising the shoulder a little bit up towards your ear, and then down to where you started. And is it really a straight line, this path, or do you feel it's a little bit bumpy? And if you make the movement a little bit smaller and slower, you might be able to go in a more straight line up, even if it's just a little bit, and then back to where you started. And is it different, the timing of your movement when you're taking the shoulder up and when you are coming back to where you started? And now from the middle, take your shoulder a little bit down towards your right hip. Feel how your shoulder blade slides down as your shoulder slides down. And then you go back towards the middle. How are you breathing as you're doing this movement? Reduce the effort in your breathing, making it nice and easy. Good. And now from the middle, pause for a moment. And then take your right shoulder up towards your ear. Come back to the middle and then down towards your hip. Back towards the middle. So go on from the middle, bringing your right shoulder up towards your right ear, and then back to the middle and down towards your right hip. Very small and easy movement. Noticing the smoothness of the movement and the direction of the movement. Good. Excellent. And then pause and lie down on your back. As you come back here to lie down on your back, notice your breath. If you can have any feeling of your breath around your shoulders, any movement there as you breathe in and as you breathe out. And now please lie down on your right side and have your legs drawn up. So the legs, you also need to experiment and see what is the height of your of the position of your legs that feels just right for you. And again, if you feel any discomfort between your knees, please get some padding to put between your knees. And here, lying down on your right side, notice, how did you choose to rest your head? Is your head resting over your right arm or over a support, towel or blanket? You might feel that each side feels pretty different from one another and you might need different kind of support. Now notice the position of your left shoulder. How is your left shoulder positioned right now? And from here, take your left shoulder a little bit forward and then back to where you started. Go gently sliding the arm, so feeling the slide of the shoulder blade over your ribs, making it comfortable, pleasurable, and then back to where you started. And then pause in the middle. And I'll take your shoulder backwards, small movement, and then back to where you started, to your middle. So just taking your shoulder back, your shoulder blade will glide towards your spine and then back to where you started. How are you breathing as you're doing this movement? Do you inhale as you take your shoulder back, or do you exhale? You can try both and see which one feels nicer for you. And then pause in the middle. And now taking your shoulder forward, back towards the middle, and then backwards, back towards you started. Going on, moving the shoulder, your shoulder forward, back to the middle, backwards, feeling this movement of your shoulder blade gliding, sliding over your ribs, your left ribs, and then coming back. So your shoulder blade, if you can sense or imagine the part of your shoulder blade that it's closer towards your spine. And then as you're doing this movement with your shoulder, just feeling how that part of your shoulder blade comes closer towards your spine as you're taking your shoulder back. And then it goes farther away from your spine as you're taking your shoulder forward. And then rest. Come rest on your back for a moment. Take a full rest. The rests are very important. Sometimes it's just to really rest our attention, especially when we're doing something so specific like this. This is your opportunity to just rest your attention. But it is during the rest times that we can also notice differences. And that is a very important part of the learning process, to notice differences. And when you're ready, please lie down on your right side again. Have your left hand on the floor, standing on the floor. If that's not comfortable for you, you can have your arm along the side of your body and just do these movements of the shoulders. And I'll take your left shoulder a little bit up towards your ear and back to where you started. And really just do a little bit so that you start to feel, how is this movement happening? Are you taking your shoulder truly upward, or is your shoulder coming a little bit forward, backward, or on a zigzag as you take your shoulder up and then down? Back to the middle, upward, noticing the timing of the movement as you're taking it up and as you're taking it back to where you started. Is it different? And then pause in the middle. And I'll take your left shoulder downward towards your left hip. And then back to where you started. Is it easier to take your shoulder down than upward? Just making it easier for yourself. And sometimes you can do even less than what you're capable of doing, just to feel how the beginning of the movement happens. How is it to just do the very beginning of this movement? And then pause in the middle. And I'll take your shoulder up towards your ear, and then back to the middle, and then down towards your hip, and then back to the middle, up towards your ear. How is it taking your shoulder up, back towards the middle, down towards your hips? Does it feel very different? The movement going up to the movement going down? How is your shoulder blade sliding over your back? Breathing nicely. Make the breath soft and easy. And then rest. Rest on your back. Now notice both your shoulders and shoulder blades. Do they feel any different from the beginning of the lesson? And also bring your attention to other parts of your body, like your face, your chest, your belly. And how is your breath happening? Think about the right side of your body and the left side of your body. And how is your breath feeling these spaces? And then gently roll over your left side. Have your right hand on the floor, standing on the floor. Have the supports you need for your head. You might have your arm lying down over your left arm, or you might have your left arm straight ahead of you and your head supported by a few blankets or towels. Just make yourself comfortable. And now take your shoulder slightly forward and then think about an arc upwards towards your ear and then down to the middle. So you start with your shoulder where you are, and then you do the small movement of taking your left shoulder, your right shoulder forward and then upward in this arc all the way close towards your ear. Doesn't need to be a big movement. And then down on a straight line to where you started. And think about the movement going forward as a straight line and doing the arc as a round arc, like a quarter of a pie. And then the shoulder goes up and then on a straight line down towards your middle. And that movement can be very small, like a tiny piece of pie. And then pause in the middle and reverse the movement. So now you start in the middle, take your shoulder, take your shoulder up towards your ear and then down on this arc and then back towards the middle and then up straight towards your ear and then around on this forward arc and then straight back to where you started. And now taking your shoulder forward. Now doing the arc downward towards your hip and then a straight line up towards where you started. And making the straight lines very straight, so go small and slowly. And making the arc part very rounded. So do a couple of times or maybe 3 times this movement of taking your shoulder forward, down in this arc towards your hip, and then back to the middle on a straight line, as much as you can, of course. And then reverse the movement. So now from the middle, take your shoulder downward towards your hip and then forward in this arc and then back towards the middle in a straight line. Thinking now you are on the second quarter of the spine. And then pause for a moment in the middle. And I'll take your shoulder backwards and then upwards in this arc towards your ear, and then on a straight line down to where you started. So again, two straight lines and one rounded line. The line of the arc now going behind on towards your back. And breathing as you're doing this movement, the breath is a great way to see if we are using extra effort. So reduce your effort as much as you can. Breathing simply as you're doing this movement of taking your shoulder back and then up in this arc towards your ear and down to where you started. And then reverse the movement. So now from the middle, taking your shoulder upward and then backward in this quarter of a arch and then back towards the middle. Maybe one more time this way. Upward, backward on the arc, and then back to the middle where you started. Beautiful. This is the third quarter of your pie. Rest for a moment and get ready for the last quarter of the pie, where you're gonna take your shoulder backwards and then down into an arc towards your hip and then up to the middle from where you started. So taking your shoulder backwards, downwards towards your hip, and then up to where you started. And then the next time you come back to your middle, take your shoulder down towards your hip, and then backwards in this arch, and then on a straight line back to where you started, completing this last quarter of your pie. Shoulder goes down, backwards in this arch round, making it rounder and rounder, and then back to where you started. And rest for a moment on your side, or if you need to come to lie down on your back, please come and lie down on your back. We're gonna complete this circle, this pie. And first, just imagine this circle over your shoulder. So you did each quarter of this pie. So you completed this circle. And now the next time you bring your shoulder forward, you go up towards your ear, and then you continue taking your shoulder backwards and then down towards your hip in this arc, very round arc, and then coming forward, and just do maybe twice this way, taking the shoulder forward, upward in this arc, and then backwards on this round, very round pie. And as you complete your circle, pause for a moment and then reverse the movement. So taking your shoulder forward and then down towards your hip and then backwards, going up towards your ear and then forward again, making the breath easy and soft as you're doing the circle. And are you able to notice any other movement on yourself as you're doing this shoulder circle? Maybe you feel a little bit of movement on your head, on your neck, perhaps on your hips, on your ribs. Great. And then rest on your back. Come and rest on your back. And notice how you're resting on your back now. Notice your right side of your back, the left side of your back. Any changes in your sensation of how you feel yourself contacting the floor? Great, and now please come and roll over towards your right side. Find a comfortable position for your legs. Have the supports you need to be lying down on your side very comfortably. Being somatically diplomatic with yourself. Really taking care of yourself. When we are comfortable, it's much easier to learn to notice differences. And I'll see where is your shoulder. So that's your middle. And here we go with the exploration of the spine, the first quarter. So now taking your left shoulder forward and then up in an arc towards your ear and then on a straight line down towards you started. So forward on a straight line, upward on a curve, on an arch line towards your ear, and straight down to where you started. Make it very nice for yourself. It doesn't need to be a big quarter. And then reverse the movement. Going up towards your ear, forward, and then straight back to where you started. And then pause in the middle for a moment. Now we go for the second quarter of your pine. So first take your shoulder forward and then downward towards this arc towards your hip and then up on a straight line to the middle. Now this next time, just think about the movement or imagine you're doing the movement where you take your left shoulder forward and then downward towards your hip in this nice arch and then up to where you started. One more time, forward, round on this quarter of a arch and then upward to where you started. And reverse the movement in your imagination. You might be feeling the very beginning of the movement, which is fine, but try to do the movement in your mind. Just now taking the shoulder downward towards your hip and then forward in this arch towards the middle and back to where you started. And now we go to the third slice of the pie. So pause in the middle and then take your left shoulder backwards and then down in this arch towards your hip and then up towards the middle. Small movement. And now just in your imagination, taking your shoulder backwards, and you can make it very comfortable on your imagination. Down on the arc towards your hips, back to where you started. Just exploring this quarter of your pie. And then reversing the movement by taking your shoulder down and then in the arc and straight line to the middle where you started. Taking your left shoulder down on your imagination and then back to where you started. And now the fourth quarter. Rest in the middle for a moment. Even when we do the movements in our imagination, it's important to give a little moment to pause, check in with your breath. Don't try hard. And then when you're ready, take your left shoulder back and then upward in this arch towards your ear and then down on a straight line towards the middle. Feel the movement of your shoulder blade as you do this, but now bring it to your imagination or just the very beginning of the movement, and then you complete the movement in your mind. Just thinking about taking the shoulder backwards in a straight line, upwards in this arch towards your ear, and then down on a straight line. And then reverse the movement by taking your left shoulder up towards your ear, down on this arch, and then back to where you started. Just making it nice and easy, even in your imagination. And then pause in the middle for a moment. And imagine this circle or this pie that you're going around with your shoulder. Imagine the size. And then just on your imagination, you bring your left shoulder forward and then upward towards your ears and then backwards all the way closer towards your hip and then forward again in this arch, making it very smooth, making it rounder and rounder, and noticing other parts of your body starting to move, to participate as you're doing this shoulder circle. And then reverse the movement of your shoulder. So taking the shoulder forward and then downward in this arc. Now it's a complete circle going back and then up towards your ear and then forward. Feel how your shoulder blade glides over your ribs. You might be feeling some movement on your ribs as well, maybe on your pelvis, on your head. Let your jaw be relaxed so that the head can also move a little bit as you're doing this circle. And then if you want, you can actually do a little bit the movement. Just if it's nice and pleasurable for you, you just go around the circle and you can go towards one direction and towards the other direction, reversing. Making it very, very smooth, soft, rounder and rounder. Nice. And then pause and come to lie down on your back. When we do movements in any part of the body, it affects everything, other parts of our body too. So see what can you notice now that it's different from the beginning of the lesson. The sensation around your shoulders, your shoulder blades, how your back is making contact with the floor. And feeling on your face, your cheeks, your eyes, your breath. How is your breath happening right now? And then your legs. Sense how your legs are lying on the floor now. And the backs of your hips. Great. And very slowly on your time, please come to roll on your side, whichever side is more comfortable, to come up to sitting and then standing on your time. And when you come back to standing, try to remember more or less where you were standing. Try to come back to that place. And don't worry about the camera. You don't need to look at the screen. Just feel how you're standing, the distance between your feet to one another, your overall feeling, any new sensation, maybe lighter or heavier, taller or wider. Bring your attention to it and notice. And then very gently choose which arm you want to move first and come back to that initial movement of lifting your arm a little bit in this diagonal forward and kind of to the side too. Yeah, and find what is the trajectory that just feels nice right now. And you lift the arm, feel the movement over your shoulder blade, and then down. And then the other arm. To one arm feels different than the other, lighter, more lighter than the other. Hmm? That's right. Good. And then turn a little bit to look over towards one side and then back to your middle and turn over towards the other side. How is your turning right now? Any new sensation around your neck, your head, your shoulders, your back? Is it easier now to turn? Hmm? Yeah. You can close your eyes if that's comfortable for you and here on standing, or you can keep your eyes open and then just do the very beginning of the movement, shifting the weight over towards one side and turning, and then shifting your weight towards the other side and turning. And then walk a little bit. And as you're walking, notice the movement of your arms. Yeah, you can walk in place too, or you can walk around your room depending of your space, your availability of space there. Just feeling, noticing what feels nice for you right now. Or any new sensation. Mm, Great. Yeah, and this is the end of this lesson. Thank you.